Okay, it's 6:02 and I'm calling this meeting to order. Roll call.
SB Ochoa present.
Nereida Cantu present.
Alda Benavides present.
Alex Cantu present.
Mary Hernandez present.
Dr. Sanz, I do declare quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Any public comments?
We have no public comments.
Thank you. Moving on to the next item, if I can take a motion for approval of the tax collector report.
So move.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes. If I can attain a motion from items 1 to 4 with a correction from Dr. Sanz.
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion passes. And now we'll read the changes on number 4, Dr. Sanz.
The change on number 4 is there was 2 items on it that had adjournment. The correct one is Dr. Alda T. Benavides moved to adjourn the meeting on Wednesday, August 11, 2021 at 9:30 p.m. Alejandro Alex Cantu seconded the motion and the motion carried unanimously. That is the correct statement that should be on the minutes.
Are we good with that, guys?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next up, handing it over to you, Dr. Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. Good evening, everyone. The first item on the superintendent's report is the enrollment report for the first day of school. The first day of school was August 16, 2021. On that day, we had 8,154 elementary students. We had 10,556 secondary students, for a total of 18,710 students, and this number was 7,611 students less than the first day of school last year. I do want to say, though, that from the first day of school to today we have an enrollment of 21,755, and that is an increase of 3,045 students from the first day of school to today. So that is the enrollment report for the first day of school. The second item on the superintendent's report is recognition of the La Jolla ISD crisis team. The La Jolla ISD crisis team was formed in March 2020 to provide guidance to district staff on the impact of COVID-19 on district operations. Since then, the crisis team has reviewed information from the Centers for Disease Control, the Texas Education Agency, and Hidalgo County health officials to plan and implement district protocols for student and staff safety. The crisis team meets 2 or 3 times weekly to maintain up-to-date procedures and respond to questions from staff and community. With this recognition, we mark and gratefully acknowledge the 200th meeting of the crisis team, which will be held on Friday, August the 27th, 2021. During March 2020, the crisis team prepared our district to switch to virtual instruction for the remainder of the 2019-2020 school year. During the 2020-2021 school year, when the district offered 100% virtual instruction, the crisis team developed the La Jolla ISD Family Information Packet for online instruction. As the district moved to on-campus instruction during April and May 2021, the crisis team developed the La Jolla ISD in-person instruction transition plan. For the 2021-2022 school year, in preparation for on-campus instruction, the crisis team developed the La Jolla ISD Safe Return to In-Person Instruction and Continuity of Services plan. On the screen, you'll see the La Jolla ISD crisis team members. They are Chief Raul Gonzalez, our La Jolla ISD Chief of Police, David Nacianciano, Emergency Management Coordinator. Marisa Morales, District Nurse Coordinator. Eliseo Rodriguez, Risk Management Director. Blanca Cantu, Public Information Coordinator. Brenda Lee Salinas, former teacher at Tabasco Elementary. Mauro Sierra, former teacher at La Jolla Early College High School. Martin Munoz, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. Ricardo Villarreal, Assistant Superintendent for Operations. Joel Trevino, Chief Financial Officer. Dr. Magda Villarreal, Assistant Superintendent for Student Services. Ivana Ayala, Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. Esperanza Espi Ochoa, School Board Member. And myself, Superintendent of Schools. Mr. Jose Luis Morin, Executive Director for Student Services, served on the crisis team during the 2019-2020 and 2020-21 school years. So on behalf of the Board of Trustees and all our district and campus administration, we want to thank each member of the district crisis team for your amazing work during the pandemic. Thank you all.
A very special thank you to all the individuals who have dedicated lots of long hours in order for our district to continue to operate. And just a gentle reminder that our staff, our teachers and principals need a lot of reassurance and support. And so I'm pleading with the crisis team that at every meeting you think of how are you going to continue to reassure the staff and reassure so that if you reassure the staff, then they'll feel supported because these are very trying times, especially for our teachers and our principals. So thank you again for the work and the many hours that you have dedicated to our district. We couldn't be where we are today without your work. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Benavides. That concludes the superintendent's report, Mr. Salinas.
Thank you, Dr. Science. Moving up to the next item, be report for the reading diagnostic test results of the end of the year.
Thank you. Ms. Marta Castillo, Executive Director for Elementary Education, will do the report on the diagnostic test results for end of year.
Good evening, Mr. Board President, members of the board, and Dr. Sines. My name is Marta Castillo, and I'm one of the elementary executive directors. The purpose of today's presentation is to review end-of-the-year literacy data for pre-K through second grade. Before I begin with the data presentation, I would like to commend campus principals and teachers who collected this data that will be presented today. In some instances, the literacy data was collected virtually, as some of our students were participating in remote instruction. And I would also like to add that this year we had a new, this past school year, the 2021 school year, we had a new reporting system, which was the CLI Engage. So if you look at on the screen that we have the first slide, which is the pre-K circle progress monitoring data. On the right side, you have some of the key points about the progress monitoring system. It assesses several skills areas: literacy, math, social, emotional, and early writing. But today we will be focusing on the literacy.
Excuse me, Ms. Castillo, on our screen we're seeing the kindergarten data.
I'm sorry, maybe.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize for that.
That's okay.
And so it's administered in English and Spanish at BOY, MOY, and EOY. And on the chart, you will see the percent of students who were on track, who met the cut score that is noted on there. And the goal is that 90% of the students be on track with each measure. So on the right side, on the left side, you will see the end of the year data for English and Spanish as noted on the top rows. Each measure will show the cut score by language and the percent of students meeting that cut score. So the measures noted on the chart are rapid letter naming. The cut score was 14, and we had 62% of our students meeting that cut score. For Spanish, the cut score was 13, with 52% of our students meeting that cut score. We have rapid vocabulary, and the cut score is noted there, with 58% on track. For English, 57 for Spanish. Phonological awareness has an overall measure. In parentheses, it has several sub-skills. 80% for that sub-skill in English and 80% for Spanish. Letter sound correspondence was 72%, and in English, and for Spanish, 65. Story retail, 83, and 80 for Spanish, and book and print knowledge, 71 and 70. So some of the areas of concern for both English and Spanish was the rapid letter naming and the vocabulary. So each one of the slides, the data will be in the same type of format. In moving along, we have now the TextKia. The TextKia was new for the 2021 school year. It was a new instrument for our teachers, and it assesses school readiness at the beginning of the year, and it also serves as a progress monitoring tool. On this chart, you will also notice the percent of students who scored within the expected end-of-year range, which is the cut score. And again, the goal is that 90% of our students be on track on all measures. I will give you a little bit of time to examine the data on the chart. It has the measure again, and then it'll show you the cut score and the percent of students that met that specific cut score for English and for Spanish. If you notice, its syllabication has two little dashes. Those dashes indicate that there was no established cut score for that measure. And again, blending and decoding have sub-skills that were measured, part of the measure. Areas of concern for the Kinder English TextKia was the letter sounds at 55%, and the decoding at 46%. Areas of concern for the Spanish was the spelling and decoding as well. So decoding was an area of concern for both English and Spanish, and decoding measures the ability to sound out words that are non-sight words. Is there any questions about the TextKia or the circle assessment? On the next slide, you will find some information about Tpri Texas Lee. This we have been administering it for several years. And the next slides will show the percent of students that were developed in the skills area. So first we have Tpri end of the year results. And on the right side again, you have the measures that are assessed at the end of the year: word reading, which is noted in white, phonemic awareness skills highlighted in green, and then you have the story reading skills. And the story reading skills are highlighted in the yellow portion. The goal again is that 90% of our students be developed in phonemic awareness and word reading, that comprehension be at an 81%, and fluency be at an 80%. If you pay attention to the chart on the left side, on the green portion was the phonemic awareness. Students had a little bit of trouble with deleting final sounds and then initial blending substitution. Word reading was an area of concern all around for Tpri. And then I would like to also make a note of the story reading. 40% of the students were able to read the 60 words correct per minute, but 53% of our students had an accuracy level of instructional or independent with a comprehension of 81%.
And that's because of the direct link with work reading. Well, the good thing is that we have a baseline where teachers can start off.
Yes, we do. We will, in this data, in a little bit, I'll mention how we've already used this data to make sure that we establish that baseline and see what we need to do next. On the next slide, you see that they has report. And so here you see the word reading in white as well, which was 48%. You see the phonological awareness with the cut scores. An area of concern was the omitting the final sound, which is 49%. And then you have the story reading measures highlighted in yellow. And so 72% of our students had comprehension, with 70% of our students reading at the instructional and independent level. 42% for spelling. That was an area of concern, and spelling is usually an area of concern in the district. Next, we have the second grade Tpri scores. And again, you will notice that the area highlighted in blue is the GK, which is the spelling. Then we also have the word reading, which is highlighted in white. And then we have the story reading measures, which are the fluency, the reading comprehension, and reading accuracy, and that is highlighted in yellow. Areas of concern is spelling, as well as fluency. But I do want to note that here we did have 78% of the students who could read at the instructional independent level with a comprehension of 90%. The last slide with data will be second grade Tejas Lee. And second grade Tejas Lee, we have also the word reading, which is in white, 79%. And then we have the story reading measures, which is fluency and comprehension with the reading accuracy. And then we also have spelling. So in second grade Tejas Lee, an area of concern was the spelling, which is at 38%. We did have 85% of the students who could read at the instructional independent level with a comprehension of 67%. And on the last page, you will notice some activities that have been carried out once the data was complete. So end of the year, student data was shared with principals. Principals did share the data at vertical team meetings. Current teachers have access to the end of the year data, and they have begun to address the academic needs of our students. Online resources are available to help teachers tier the students and provide support. And then in addition, we'll also be able to progress monitoring using the reading program iStation. But I also want to emphasize that something that we didn't include here is the Reading Academy. So this past year, our teachers went through the Reading Academy. We got to go through the Reading Academy as well. And so it has a wealth of strategies for the teachers to use and help address the needs of students. And so this is some of the things that we've been doing with the end of the year data, and we'll continue to do with the BOY data once that is collected, as we continue to ensure that all our students are reading on level. Is there any questions about any piece of the data or any information from the grade levels?
I'm glad you mentioned the reading academies, because we know that we can buy all the programs, but strategies, good strategies, routine strategies is what worked with our students. And as far as the GK in both English and Spanish, I mean, that has been always a state and district problem, but it's still very worrisome because when we look at that, that also transfers into our writing, and in that also goes into further down the line with secondary where they start falling in the cracks. So I know that our teachers are going to be very intentional in looking at the data and preparing their lessons. So I commend everybody, even though it's not the outcome that we want. I know that we at least know where to start and target those weaknesses.
Yes, thank you. And we do. I think that going through the Reading Academy will really help the teachers understand the connection that you just mentioned about the reading,
and
the
I also want to,
and the spelling.
Ms. Castillo, and I also want to commend the teachers because I know they were very, very, with everything that was going on last year, and yet they met the expectations, to make sure that they went through those reading academies. When it could have been, stalled a little bit, but they continued to meet their deadline. So thank you, teachers, and everybody else.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ochoa.
Yeah, just following that, because they did go through the training during last year and because it was a challenging year, I'm not saying to do it right now, but maybe after the first month of school or the first 6 weeks, ask the teachers what kind of support they need so that we can provide that support to them, because I know that the biggest challenge they're going to have is to get the kids caught up, especially in reading, and this is the reading. And I was laughing with my son because he said, remember the little saying about everything I learned in kindergarten, and these poor children, they didn't have a normal kindergarten, some of the ones that were in kinder, and so we need to offer the teachers support so that they can make sure that they make up for everything that they lost. So maybe after a month of school and things get settled, maybe asking the teachers or maybe assigning someone to go offer support to the teachers that have gone through the reading academies to see what they need, to make sure that they have the materials that they need so that they can in fact do the strategies that they were taught. And then maybe even review some content of the academy if they're because there were so many things going on last year that it was difficult to concentrate. So thank you for the work in training the teachers and continue to be there to offer that support that they'll need.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Benavides. And I do want to say that we already do have plans to continue follow up with the reading academies and to purchase the necessary materials to make sure that the teachers have what they need to implement those strategies. So that we're already working on that as well, and so we'll continue providing that support. Thank you for that, and thank you everybody for the support that you provide to our department curriculum and elementary education.
At a later date, I would like a report on what the teachers said they needed, so that we can make sure. And I know we approved with the SR funds that they're going to get, but I know that money isn't even here now, but we cannot waste time. So later on, maybe at the end of the 6 weeks, I would like to have a report on what the teachers said that they needed and where we are in providing that support to them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Castillo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Castillo. Okay, moving on to consent agenda. If I can entertain a motion.
So move.
Have a motion?
Second.
And a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Then we come back to letter A, contracts. Number 9, approval of resolution number 2021-09, setting the tax rate for the 2021-22 school year of a minimum of 1.2662 per every 100 valuation, with a 0.9920 for maintenance and operations, and a 0.2742 for interest and sinking for La Jolla Independent School District, making certain findings and providing for a severability clause.
So move.
I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 1.2662, which is effectively a 6.38 increase in the tax rate.
Second.
Okay, so I'll take Mr. Ochoa second. All those in favor come by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving now to number 6 on the letter C, business and finance. appointment of the 2021 official delegate to the Texas Association of School Boards.
This item requires that the board submit one of our board members' name to represent us at the state level. Our board's involvement in the delegate assembly process determines the direction of that TASB will take through its leadership program, services, and interaction with state, federal officials, as well as other organizations. And just for your information, on the attached page, there will be the meeting will be on September, it's going to be a September meeting.
But are we submitting a name today?
We should submit a name today, yes, sir.
Anyone want to take the endeavor?
Huh?
Any of y'all want to take the challenge?
That's for a meeting on September the 25th, right?
Yeah, but we're supposed to submit a name.
2 years ago.
You want to continue doing that?
Unless you want for us to nominate.
I so move Dr. Nereida Cantu.
I'll second that. You good with that, Dr.?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, so we have a motion. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Congratulations, Dr. Cantu. Moving on to number 7. Okay, ahí está. Number 7, approval of the information of the 2021 property tax. That'll need a motion right there, guys.
So moved.
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. And then we move on to letter E, Human Resources, approval of the revised summer school wages. And I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Aye. Second.
And a second by Mr. Cantu. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to number 2, discussion and approval of the stipend for high school administrating, overseeing dual credit courses offered by La Jolla Education Teaching Center.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion and approve item 2, 3, 4, and 5.
I'll take a motion, items 2, 3, and 4, Mr. Cantu, because we have a public hearing on number 5.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Cantu and a second by Mrs. Ochoa. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Then it brings us back to number 5, under letter E, Human Resources, public hearing regarding payment in excess of contractual amount and federal and state program directed due to the additional responsibilities with elementary and secondary school emergency relief grant. And Dr. Science, you have a little overview on that, please?
Thank you, Mr. Salinas. Board of Trustees, if you remember, we've had a position posted for the ESSER 3 administrator. We have not had applicants with the experience that we would like. This person will work with the ESSER 3 funds, with our principals. And so we are recommending that our current director for state and federal funds do this as an extra duty for an amount of $25,000 per year. And this would be instead of hiring the new position, which the salary was going to be approximately $100,000 a year. So we're proposing that Mr. Flores, because he does have that experience in working with federal funds, that he do these duties.
And Mr. Flores is okay to go with it?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, guys? Before we go out to public hearing? Okay. So it's 6:31. We're officially in the public hearing. If there's any person or persons from the public that might want to comment something, it'll be open. Since we have people in the back, so we're gonna go ahead and run for 2 minutes. That's enough time. Okay, if there's nothing there at this time, it is 6:32. Now I can attain a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion, and then I'll take the other one as a second. All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. At this time, it is 6:33, and under sections code 551071, 551072, and 551074, we're going into executive session. Thank you. Okay, it's 8:02, and we are out of executive session.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion on personnel. Make a motion to approve item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's discussed in executive session.
Okay, I have a motion from items 1 to 5. Can I obtain a second?
Second.
And I have a second. Those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. And just a motion for adjournment. Also move for a
So
adjournment.
moved. So moved.
And I'll second. Okay, thank you. At 8:03.